Bullhorn Betty rocks.
Well, good morning, my beautiful coffee beans. Come on in.
Coffee steaming, files on the table. We clocking early, hunt what's unstable. Bullhorn Betty on the curb, voice raised. Flip-flop queen with the homemade phrase. Notebook thick, got the screenshots flag. Names in red ink, every rumor, every tag. Late night live stream, screen glow on her face. Truth in her throat, got a lawman's pace. She don't blink when the threats roll through. Come see me, she says, if you think that's cute. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. Insane Asylum, that's our crew nickname. Laugh so loud while we track these names. Whiteboard wild with the webs we spin. Pen to pen, see the pattern sink in. Turmo shaking when the case goes cold. We stir it back up, won't do what we're told. Doorstep question, side eye stare. Where were you that night? We hanging right there. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. This for the faces on the milk cart labels. This for the families praying at tables. This for the names that the news won't say. We say them out loud every single day. Every day. If you're running in the dark, better feel that fear. Betty got a bullhorn right in your ear. Coffee club crazy, but we think so clear. One small town, whole world gonna hear. Hey! Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that the day gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we take red
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
My beautifuls. It is nice to see you this beautiful Sunday morning. What a great day to be up. We are coming live early. We are going to have 3 shows for you today. 3 shows, 3 all different shows. And it's all the cases that you are very interested in. So we just got this new case here, and this is of Lynette Hooker. Her husband, Brian, right now is being held in a Bahamian prison, jail, in the Bahamas right now, in Grand Bahamas, on suspicion of homicide. And no matter how you look at this case, he's being arrested. He's going to be charged with something. And here's why I believe he's going to be charged with something. He acknowledged being intoxicated while operating a boat. That boat hit rough water. Somebody went overboard. Even if we believe that there's more here, this is the evidence that they have. This is what he has already admitted to. So no matter how you look at this, we have a lady that's gone, that's allegedly in the water, and allegedly in the water because somebody was driving a boat under the influence of alcohol. So no matter how you look at those details, at minimum, he's going to be charged with, DUI homicide of some sort. Whether it's manslaughter, how they're going to be doing that. They have a chargeable case as it sits right now. She has not been found. This is kind of leading to a whole different scenario of information. Is she truly out there in the water? I don't believe she is. I believe something happened to her, and I believe he hit her. That's the way it seems like. This is a tumultuous relationship. It sounded like it got 10 times worse, 100 times worse when they purchased this boat in 2023 and completely isolated themselves from her daughter and the other side of the family after being married for 20 some odd years. And now she's missing and he's in jail. This has been a long time coming. This train wreck, from everything that we're hearing from the insides of the family, has been expected for years. That's how bad the abuse, alcohol, everything. That's how bad it is. Everybody in the family knew. I think even in the back of Lynette's mind, she knew that this was dangerous. I think she tried, and for whatever reason, 25 years being with somebody, 25 years, it sounds like she's not really working. He's been taking care of her. These are things that happen to women when our traditional lifestyles, which is something that I definitely believe in. It really kind of dictates that women stay home with the children and the men go out and work and provide the finances to the home. The woman, prepares the food, saving finances, taking care of the kids. I don't know if you guys looked at a child care. It's an arm and a leg. I don't even see it. It seems like it's so expensive this day and age. Parents should stay home with their children because it's so unaffordable to have child care. So in that dynamic, though, in that traditional family dynamic, women don't work. So they don't have a lot of experiences that, if they were to get a divorce or, they don't have anything to fall back on. And it's a horrible design, especially if you are being in an abusive relationship. But either way, we're still trying to hone in on what happened. We went over a lot of stuff in this case yesterday, including maps, to kind of see where this whole case happened at. And we've been hearing, for days about the area, about the travels, about how suspicious what he said happened. And then we get this weird, off-the-wall, crazy article last night from the Daily Mail. I read it to you guys. We did like a little show from Office 2, which if you've been around the Bullhorn Betty channel long enough, Office 2 is code word for bed. I go to bed early. I do go to bed early. And when I do study cases that require a lot of reading, I usually do it from bed because I spread it all over. It's the biggest desk I got, right? Even my huge kitchen table is not as large as my bed. So when I'm dealing with cases, I put a lot of stuff out on the bed and read it and put it all in order and stuff like that. So I do a lot of work all around my house. This is kind of the hub, right? So when that area gets, when it gets to bleh, then I move in here. When this gets too bleh, I move in the living room. When that gets too bleh, I move into the kitchen, just changing of scenery because this is the office, this is the home, this is the everything, right? So, unless you work from home and you're at home a lot, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's nice to see everyone. So let me go ahead and say hi before we dive in. We've got a lot to go over today. We're diving into the case that has moved from a missing person into a full-blown criminal investigation. And the questions are only getting bigger by the day. As many of you guys know, we have been looking at this case, we've got a lot of questions. Her mom has a lot of questions. Her daughter has a lot of questions. Lynette Hooker vanished during a boat trip in the Bahamas, and her husband, Brian Hooker, has been arrested and remains in custody. And it sounds like he's going to be in custody until at least Monday. And the investigators are now weighing on whether the evidence supports, murder charges. We're going to walk through the timeline and public theories, the family's concern, and the latest reporting that people are watching this case very, 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 very closely, like many of you. And I told you guys when we were talking about Nancy Guthrie that it seems like this case is bringing in a lot of viewership, and it is because, again, when you deal with social media like Gabby Petito, and they have a platform and they're driving all over the country and showing you different, in this case, is sailing around to different beautiful places and putting that content on social media, you get a social media following, right? And when you get a social media following, it does something to you. Even the smallest of followings, it's kind of like they're one of ours, right? If anybody that's on social media that disappears, like Gabby Petito and now like Lynette Hooker, we kind of focus all of our attention on them because they're one of us. At the end of the day, we all travel. We all go all over this country. I don't understand the fighting and stuff like that. I mean, we were in close quarters with 4 people for almost 2 years. Did we have disagreements? Yes, there were some disagreements. Were some voices raised here and there with 4 personalities? Yeah. But was there any fighting? No, there was no fighting. And these were all different personalities that, we've never traveled with before. And it was, so I've got some experience, not, years on the water or anything, but I've got years on the road. I've got years living in hotel rooms. I mean, the start out of my career here on social media, I was all over the country. I mean, we were in Utah, Wyoming, Florida, Tennessee. I can't even remember all the places that we truly went, but it was a lot of places. We were on the road for 2 solid years. But it's something when it's our own. When we go missing, we kind of pay attention. And even though this is not something that we pay attention to, none of us knew about the sailing hookers. Let's be honest, this case brought it, but it doesn't matter. Just like nobody knew about Gabby Petito until she disappeared. But at the end of the day, and even Gabby Petito, I wasn't social media at that time. Now I'm social media. Now I take ownership of social media. Now I kind of feel like this is a very large family. And, we can't stop bad things from happening to us. But when bad things do happen to us, we can all stop and talk about it and bring attention to it. And I think that that's what we're dealing with here. And also, we have to remember sometimes what we see, in everyday life on some of these channels is not what it is. In Gabby Petito's life, they look like they had an amazing crossroad journey, but when those cameras went off, look how tumultuous it was. And I feel like this case here, Lynette Hooker and Brian Hooker's case, even though they're of a more advanced age than, say, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, they were just starting out their life together. These folks have been together for 25 years, a quarter of a century. So a little bit different dynamics, but a lot of the same information, The things didn't get worse until they were isolated, until they were fully isolated away from their families. And that is when things really maxed out with the domestic violence and all of this stuff. And I think the reason why they drank so much is because at least when they were drinking, they were laughing and getting along. Now, after they were drinking and then when they went home, that's when the fights ensued. But at least, they were having good times together. I truly believe, because I believe that's the reason why Vince and I would go out and drink at times, was just so we could feel like, we still liked each other, I don't know. I don't know. I can't it's hard for me to remember, identify those feelings because, usually when I was drinking, I was done. you know, and if I remembered, I remembered. If I didn't, I didn't. A huge cry for where we are today, huh? We're up at frickin' the ass crack of dawn. Jeez. Welcome, everybody. It is nice to see you this morning. We are talking about, is this an accident or is this a homicide, you know? The families really got the world convinced that more is here. The problem is they can't find her. We guys know, we know how this goes. You know, they've got to find her. They've got to find her. Now, could they go for second degree without a body? They could. I don't know if I don't know the laws in the Bahamas. So anyways, we'll dive into all that here in just a second. So good morning, Denise. It's nice to see you. Dixie up in the house. Woo, 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 woo. It's nice to see you, Dixie. Rose, Melanie, it's nice to see you. Good morning, my love. I hope everything is going well with you. Lisa, hello, my love. It's nice to see you. Fake news hater, what is up? We got Momo in the chat. Good morning. Our beautiful Melanie, always rising and shining, saying, sending love to the love machine. Ow! I think that warrants our danger. We're having way too much fun before church. Entirely too much fun before church. It's just not right. Not right. YouTuber is up. Our beautiful Sonia up in the house. It's nice to see you. The real me too. Adrian, it's nice to see you. Good morning, Betty, Delilah, Coffee Cup, and Mods. It's nice to see you, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Well, you can say Bullhorn Betty's having a great day, at least until we're on the show, because as soon as these cameras go off, I'm gonna be a wreck. I'm just gonna be no, I'm just just joking. I have not had but one cup of coffee, so I don't want to hear you guys saying how much caffeine is Betty on. This is only the second cup, and it's almost full. I'm just saying, not playing. Eeyore, it's nice to see you. Nanny Goat, good morning, love. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Sonia, the real me too. I think I said hi to all y'all. Hot damn up in the chat. It's nice to see you. Good morning, love. Good morning, good morning. Now we're getting kind of down to the stragglers. Now we're getting down to the, oops, this thing did pop up everywhere, didn't it? Wow, we got a lot of stragglers. It just popped in. Woo! So let me go down the list. Ellie, it's nice to see you. Good morning, love. I hope you are doing well. Nightbot, Big Mac Mike up in the chat. Candy, hello, my love. I hope you are doing well. Good morning, good morning. The real Emily Rose. It is nice to see you, Miss Rose. I hope you are doing amazing this beautiful Sunday. Who else do we have? I think I said hi to Adrian. Candy, good morning. Big Mac Mike. This is Nana Pray. This Nana Prays. It's nice to see you, Miss This Nana. And we got this. What does it say? Heavenly Father, thank you for another day of life, the sunrise, the new possibilities, and your constant love. Help us to see today as a gift. Ooh. Love it. Love it. Who else do we have? I think we said hi to everyone. Oh, Deborah Ray. Deborah, it's nice to see you. Pat, good morning. It's nice to see you as well. Peggy up in the chat. Good morning, Love Bug. I hope you are doing well. Who else do we have? Jewel. Well, good morning. We got the Ice Cream Man. Didn't we used to have a song? The Ice Cream Man song? Didn't we have like a rap song or an R&B song, the Ice Cream Man? Why do I kind of remember? I mean, I don't know. Emily Rose, do you have the money you owe me? Don't be stalking people. Don't be stalking people up in my chat. Can't go bill collecting on Bullhorn Betty channel. The hell wrong with you? The hell wrong with you? Oh, good gracious. Oh, good gracious. The little orange man. It's nice to see you. Good morning. That was funny. Danielle, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Don't be running my clicks and views, damn it. Don't be doing it. You already got my balls leaking this morning. What's wrong with y'all? Mamba? Ooh, Mamba mindset. Ooh. That's a little scary. Master P. Oh, Master P. Is that what it is? I like the Mamba. Mamba mindset. Woo. Master P. Okay. I remember it from back in the day. It's been a while. I don't really listen to a whole lot anymore. Except me. No, I'm just joking. That's actually kind of probably a true statement. Kind of, sort of. Just a little bit. Guys, it's nice to see you again. We're going over this Lynette Hooker. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. This is one of those cases that immediately grab your attention because it sits in the intersection of boat safety, relationship history, missing person urgency, and possibly foul play. Lynette Hooker disappeared in the Bahamas after what was described as a dinghy ride to their yacht, and the version of events given by Brian Hooker is now under intense scrutiny. And we're also hearing different variations that he gave to different people at different times. For example, last night we went over to the statement that he gave the security guard at that harbor, that Marsh Harbor, and the statement he gave him. And then we have the text message to his friend, and then we have the voicemail to his stepdaughter, and all, different variations or versions of what happened that night, and it's causing this intense scrutiny. And then you add the allegations of domestic violence, and it really does kind of start changing the tone of this case. And what makes this case so compelling is not just the disappearance itself, but the pace at which authorities moved, the arrest, and the continued uncertainty over whether charges will be filed. Like, we're kind of in limbo when it comes to Brian, and we don't know why. According to the reporting, the couple had been boating in the Bahamas, and on this particular night, that Lynette went missing, they were traveling by dinghy from Hopetown to Elbow Cay. And Brian Hooker told police that Lynette went overboard during rough surf and had the boat keys, which were lost when she went overboard, and he could not turn on the engine to the dinghy anymore. That these strong currents just, whisked her away. He reportedly paddled back to shore and alerted authorities in the early morning hours around 4 a.m., and that timeline matters because every minute of delay in the water disappearance affects search chances. Witness recovery, distance, whether they're going to be able to recover her, and the ability to test the story against the physical evidence. I kind of feel like when they process the boat is going to show a lot of violence in it. Because we've heard of so many different things going on, including him having her over the bench, choking her, strangling her, and something cracking in her neck, and her neck being stiff for a really long time. He's a big dude, and she's a little person, and he can do a lot of damage to her, obviously. But there's this abuse, and then his statements after the abuse that were widely known from the family about him, wishing he would have finished the job and just thrown her overboard. And then we're hearing last night through that same article that this could be, shark-infested waters and a lot of bull sharks. But I'm going to trust my knowledge of sharks. And yeah, even if they did attack her, there would be pieces of something visible in the water that could be discerned or taken away from by the Coast Guard that shows this attack in the water. You got to remember, human beings have a lot of blood in our bodies, and so if you've ever seen a shark attack, which I've witnessed a shark attack before, and it is not pretty, and it's very, very noticeable, and it's a very helpless feeling because there is literally nothing you can do. Is the guy in jail today or no? Ice Cream Man, yes, that's what we're hearing. We're hearing what's wrong with the official story again. It doesn't make sense. We'll go over it. We'll go over it here in just a second. It doesn't make sense. Even his path of travel doesn't make sense because we'll go over it. We'll go over it here in just a little bit. So, long story short, the skepticism is coming in from several directions. Lynette's daughter has publicly questioned whether her mother simply fell overboard. Her own mother talks about her being this athlete, an excellent swimmer. So the relationship has been in trouble at times, and most recently, her mother's describing things getting a lot worse since purchasing this boat. So reporting has also revisited prior domestic incidents involving the couple, which has fueled public suspicion that this may not have been just some random accident. In cases like this, public often focuses on inconsistencies. We've got a lot of inconsistencies in this story. 3 different stories to be exact. Relationship history and whether the surviving partner's statement aligns with the facts and ocean conditions. We heard it was pretty choppy out on the water, some 20 mile an hour winds, which, is pretty strong. But it's not life-threatening in many cases if your body is conditioned. You're talking about very seasoned people on the water, very seasoned people in the water. People that live in and on the water are very strong swimmers. They have to think on their feet. There's just a lot of things that go along with it. And Brian Hooker, coming back to somebody's question in the chat, was arrested in connection with Lynette's disappearance and has remained in custody while the Bohemian investigation continues their review. One report said police sought an extension, giving them more time before they will charge him or release him. And again, I don't see him being released. They've got chargeable offenses right now because he has acknowledged more times than not with everybody that he was extremely intoxicated, and so was his wife. And so those details are going to be important. But I do believe he is going to be arrested for something. And it suggests investigators believe the case is still active and unresolved rather than being treated as a routine missing person. So they believe foul play, in my opinion, based upon everything that they are dealing with here. I believe law enforcement believes foul play is without a doubt a possibility in this case because, again, it sounds like they arrested him because his story doesn't make sense. And people are asking, why doesn't his story make sense? Because he had help right there, okay? His boat, his dinghy, his boat was near a strip, okay? It's Elbow Cay. Let's just pull this up real quick so everybody can get an idea of where everything is here on the map. And I think that will clarify a lot because this is where, for me, just me personally, this is where I have some major problems with the story. So we'll pull this up so everybody can kind of get on board with what we're talking about here. All right, so here's the area that we're looking at, okay? It is believed... Pull this down just a tad. Maybe I shouldn't pull it down here. Maybe I should pull it down here. Let me pull it down here because I think we can get everything. Okay. I think this is everything. This is everything. This is everything. All right. So according to everything we know, if you guys are unfamiliar about where people are, where everything is, this is the strip, okay? This is another little island right here, okay? You see all this right here? This is sand, okay? You can see the visible sand. This shows me that there's this huge sandbar right here, okay? Now, as you can see, the lighter is shallow. The more dark is deeper. Makes sense? So very shallow here. Then you got kind of moderately, and then you got kind of these dips of darkness and shadows. These are probably deeper areas. This over here, very deep, much deeper than, say, this area here. Makes sense? Okay. So as you can see, right here in this area, this is where they were kind of partying at all day. Drinking all day. You see, at first I thought maybe this was just a strip of natural preserve. You know, nothing on here. When we were first hearing this story and him taking the dinghy all the way to Marsh Harbor, which is all the way over here. You guys see that? See how far away they are? Look at that. Marsh Harbor all the way over here. This is why the story doesn't make sense, okay? Because they're over here partying. Their sailboat is somewhere around in this area here, okay? And then they're taking the dinghy from their sailboat, which is in more deep waters, and taking it to the bars. That's kind of how you do it out there. That's what my aunt and uncle did. This is the way it is in the Caribbean. This is the way it is in the Virgin Islands. This is kind of how you do it. Most of these people that have sailboats and other yachts have these dinghies on them, because that is basically, think of it as the yacht being their home and the dinghy being their car. Makes sense? Okay, so what do? You don't travel in your house to the store and the grocery store. You travel in your car to the grocery store. So the dinghies, again, are to travel. They're the cars. When you're a boat life, your boat is your house, your dinghy is your car. That's the best way I can describe it for everybody to kind of get some understanding of it. So they took the dinghy here, boat somewhere around here. Now these are all estimates. This is pretty much accurate. We know where they were drinking at. But where their boat was is a little odd. And this is the sailboat. This is their yacht. This is the Soulmate, okay? And so this is out here. They drive their dinghy to the bar. They spend on land. They have their land feed all day. That means they were drinking all day. And then they get in their dinghy around 7:30. And it's very important because 7:30 is when, hey Jeremy, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. So we have this situation where they were drinking. They leave 7:30, and he, according to his statement, says that around 7:30, when they get into this rough water with these horrible winds, that she fell over with the key. That's around 7:30, right after they left. So if they just left and it's around 7:30, they couldn't have been too far from this whole barrier island here. Okay, there's no way that they could have gotten too far from here. So why didn't he turn around and immediately paddle back here? This is where there's bars, nightlife, there's houses here. There's somebody he could have just immediately gotten to call law enforcement. You see what I'm saying? And then his boat's up here. So, he could have paddled another mile or 2 miles up this way to get on his boat, and then he would have Mayday, 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 right? So this is what doesn't make sense in his entire story. Because what he ends up doing is she goes overboard. We don't know where. But if she went overboard around 7:30 and they left the bar around 7:30, well, my brain is telling me that she's probably still in this area here. Or even if they did get out here, she's in kind of this area here, more shallow area. And in some of these areas, she could stand up and probably walk. So this area here, I don't anticipate a lot of bull sharks being in. It's just too shallow. Maybe over here you would get some more bull sharks or some other type of sharks, but the bull sharks were brought up as being in this area and as being very, very dangerous in this area, which is crazy to me. But again, I'm not from this area. I don't know. But when you have somebody here, they fall off the boat, and you choose to paddle all the way across here to Marsh Harbor, that doesn't make sense. Especially when help was right here or right here. Much closer in proximity. But he chose, at least what I think happened is I think he had the motorboat. And I think he drove from his, because we have evidence that he was most likely on his boat when he should have been paddling. So I truly believe, based on those new details, those haven't been made widely public yet, but I'll have to find it and I'll show you the receipts. But I know I read it. I don't remember where I read it from, but I know I read it, that it appears they have some type of sensors on their boat that identify him being on the boat at the time he said he was trucking across this area here to Marsh Harbor. So now my theory has changed, where I believe something happened on the boat, okay? Wherever the boat was parked. I think they're going to find evidence that something happened on that boat. And I think he either weighted her down and dropped her, or he went on this island here somewhere near where their boat was and they have a broken oar. I believe he was using an oar as a potentially a shovel, and maybe that's how the oar broke. Because I don't believe she's in the water for some reason. I just, there's just something that's just cautioning me. She might be, but there's just something that's cautioning me not to believe that she is in the water, that, you know, there may be another, because there's some details that I can't explain. The broken oar, that's one of the ones I can't explain. How did the oar break? You know, we're thinking of like, oh my gosh, he cracked her in the head with the oar. That would be pretty bloody. We know that he has a history of strangulation. So I don't think that that's the case. So what other reason would the oar break? And I was thinking, because I thought, you know, I brought up the land. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if he used it like a shovel? Because, you know, it has like, you know, the little handle on it on the top of it, the little hook thing on the top of it. So you kind of got like a handle, and it does have the flat thing. So you could, you know, turn it in. And people that are in the military are trained to use different objects, are trained to know to use different objects for things to accomplish something when you don't have. I love some comadres. Is that what is it? I for whatever reason shoulder has to be redone because oh no, 50-foot yacht must be so expensive. She supposedly fell off a dinghy, but where was the yacht? The yacht. Okay, so the yacht was up here. They can't bring the yacht to party. You know, they can't, there's no place for the yacht to park. So how people do it is they park the yacht, you know, a mile or so away, and then they take the dinghy in. So my understanding is the yacht is somewhere in this area. I don't know. This is the general area the yacht's in. And then they take the yacht to party on land on this strip here. And so we're hearing that there's a bar like right here in this little cove, and that this is where they were all day. So if that's what you're looking for, their boat, their actual Soulmate, their 50-foot yacht was parked somewhere up here. So again, they drove the dinghy to the bar, and they were leaving the bar around 7:30, and they should have been heading back to the boat. And so even if she fell off, the objective is getting back to the boat. And so for her, it sounded, even his last statement said he thought she was swimming toward Elbow Cay. So if she's swimming toward Elbow Cay, why is he going in the opposite direction to Marsh Harbor? And that's where you're getting this, why is he swimming in the opposite direction conversation and talking points, is because of that. Because their boat was somewhere here. She fell off somewhere around here, and they said that she was seen swimming toward Elbow Cay. So why is he trucking all the way the hell over here to Marsh Harbor? So this is now, I think now you're saying I've had an oar broke. I never had an oar break in my life. It seems wild to me. Boating for 30 years. He told the, let me pull that up. Ice Cream Man. And you're asking these questions. I'm pulling this up because if you have these questions, then somebody else has these questions too. So let me go ahead and pull this because I got receipts for all of this. Yes. So the answer is the oar has been broke. Yes. And we heard that from Lynette's mother, because according to Lynette's mother, and I know Ashley Banfield, there she is. She had an exclusive with Lynette's mom. And exclusive. Yeah, here it is. Okay, we're already at the spot too. Kind of interesting. That must have been where we left the case. Okay, so we'll go back. We'll go back about 2 minutes in this, and I'll let you hear it for yourself. Hold on, let me get this pulled up. Maybe I'll get on the other side. I'll get on Ashley's side. Okay, here you go, Ice Cream Man. Actually, let me just find that spot. Now, I know we're right near it, so let me just, well, it just
he
did
was
in the
on
next.
top of her, and he was...
Yeah, because this is where she's talking about the neck. So we have the whole neck, the neck crack. She's talking about the neck crack, because I've got notes on all of this. And so after this neck crack thing, hold on, let me fast forward it just about 30 seconds. We'll get a little closer. Okay.
Her carry all of her stuff to the dock, and she came home to me for a while. But one of the conversations that they had while they were on the boat the next morning is he told her that
this is sad.
He wished he had finished the job and thrown her overboard.
And he finished the job.
So
did she not take it seriously? Did she think it was just hyperbole? Like he was just all talk?
It's coming out
How
after
could you
this.
think somebody was all talk when you're being choked?
That is true.
You know,
I want to stop here for a sec. Stop here for just a second. If anybody is facing domestic violence, and I'm not going to say it's just women because I know better, and I think everybody in this world knows better. But if you are in a domestic violence situation, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. It is still lethal, and there's a better life. There's a lot of us out here that have been abused physically, mentally, and otherwise. And I can promise you there is better tomorrows, but you're never going to find them until you leave, until you walk out the door, until you refuse to allow somebody to put their hands on you or hurt you again. You do have power, and it's very dangerous. So when you leave, stay gone. Don't go back, because you might be able to get away from that person one time, but there's no guarantees you have the ability to get away from them a second time or third. So when you break that chain and that cycle, and if you're leaving a domestic violence situation, understand there's something wrong in your head. And this is the biggest problem. It's not because you're defective or anything. It's because you've had dealt with years and years of mental and psychological abuse. Your head is messed up. If you want to know why you're addicted to it, it's because your head is messed up. You want to know why you keep going back, it's because your head is messed up. It's not just about leaving. It's about going and trying to find out why you stayed. You need to get help, professional help. You need, most of the stuff that we deal with as adults are issues that we have as children, unresolved issues as from childhood. And until you go and work on your childhood issues, it sounds so cliche. I understand it, but I promise you I'm accurate. So much of our problems in adulthood stem from issues we've had in our childhood. So if you can go and fix the problems you have in your childhood, you might have a fighting chance of having real liberation from yourself and the cycle of abuse. Just remember that. I was abused as an older woman. I miss her. I would let her be crazy and everything because I just wanted to spend time with her. She blocked me 4 years ago because I couldn't hang out. That's, yeah. Got to be careful. But there is abuse out there. We don't sit there and act like it's just one way. I've seen a woman... There's women that unalive men. So if that doesn't tell you how lethal abuse is for men, there is abuse for men. Okay. So we can't, I just think everybody needs to keep their damn hands off of each other. I think that solves all the problems. Be angry, be whatever, but keep your hands off. Okay. So she's going to be coming up with the details about this. It's coming up here shortly, about, I don't know, about another 20 seconds.
Kept hoping. She didn't want to be in a divorce, and another divorce, because she was married a couple times before, and so was he. And so she just kept going back hoping. She loved him, but she didn't love that side of him. And it just was always there.
I figured
Darlene,
that.
what do you think happened that night, Saturday night, when she disappeared?
Brian called me.
Here it is.
He called us to tell us that Lynette was missing 24 hours after she was missing. And
the 24 hours bothers me too. But this is where we know that the oar broke. And this is the only time we've learned of the oar. But she's a believable witness. And this is talking about her firsthand conversation with Brian Hooker, her son-in-law.
I said, I need more details. And he said, we drank all day. and we were on land all day, and we had been drinking. And he said everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I didn't have a radio. He said an oar broke.
An oar broke.
And he just kept going on and on.
There it is. An oar broke. So, according to Brian, he told Lynette's mother, and her name is Darlene Hamlet. Darlene Hamlet. He told his mother-in-law, Darlene, that when she asked for more details, he stated they were drinking all day. They had been on land all day. So land is key for bar hopping. And everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I didn't have a radio. An oar broke. He says he didn't see where she was. It was, and she further went on, which we're not playing here, to state that this dinghy is an unsinkable dinghy. It's an unsinkable dinghy. So the lunatic the libertarian says all centralized systems are failed. Society is a facade. Humanity is fighting for an unnatural system of society and a huge problem. Find peace. Probably. Probably. You're probably right about that. So there's the whole find, broken oar, ice cream man. So I hope we clarified that. So that's concerning for me, because one thing I find out, and I'm going to tell you guys this story, and this was right before we embarked on our first trip for Summer Wells. It was right after Gabby Petito. We were out in front of a guy by the name of Colin Knapp. And his girlfriend, good gracious, I can't remember what her name was. I think I got a flyer down here for her. I can't remember. But anyways, Colin Knapp, he was a chef or a butcher at one of the steakhouses. Crazy case. But he was, from everything that everybody talked about this guy was a big guy. And they talked about him being a teddy bear, a huge teddy bear. But as soon as, thank you, DV or SA can happen to anyone, family, friends, whoever, say something. Amen to that. You're never going to liberate yourself in silence. I will tell you that. People have to know something's going on with you. So if you're suffering, don't suffer in silence. Suffer out loud, so somebody can help. Let people know that there's something going on. Let your mom know. You just never know, right? You just never know. Just let somebody know what is truly going on, because God forbid if something happens to you, somebody needs to be your voice. If you're going to stay in a toxic and violent relationship, at least be honest with somebody. So if something happens to you, they know where to look. Nobody wants to think that their loved one's going to hurt them to death, but all too often we find out people lose control of themselves, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. So we have a situation here where there was a lot of abuse, especially on those seas, a lot worse than what she had experienced when they were home and had their house, from everything that I can tell. So, but I find that when we're talking about like the broken oar, going back to Colin Knapp's case, and he broke his fence. And we were learning of this. We learned of this broken fence because we had friends of hers that went and talked to him. And we I debriefed them once they came out of his house, because we were outside the house. We were searching for her. We wanted to know what would happen. And he said that the FBI came in, broke in through his back gate, tore his back gate off. And I know procedures. I know how they case a house and how they go in. And that back side was so dangerous because there was some water back there with water moccasins. They would have never went in the way he said that they went in the back, from my understanding of law enforcement. And so that was my critical factor. I remember turning around and said, oh my gosh, he took her out the back gate. He broke the gate. And sure enough, another day, like as we were leaving, his girlfriend's body is being found, and she's wrapped up in a bed liner, not the comforter, but like the thing that goes over the mattress to protect it, the mattress protector thing. She was wrapped up in that and taken down like 2 houses. He broke through the fence and dumped her body 2 houses down. And that's where it was. We were back there and we're like, she's got to be right there. She's got to be right there. And that was only a theory at the time. We didn't know for a fact. And when we heard about that gate, it was like, oh my gosh, he did put her back there. And literally not even an hour or so later, they found her. So it was that. And we couldn't spend any more time. We're driving out of the state of Florida to go and learn about this new case we had just taken on, a 5-year-old missing child, Summer Wells. And so as we're driving out of the state, we're learning the fate that they got Colin Knapp dead to rights and they found her. And so he ended up shooting her, and he should never have had a gun to begin with. So he's, I'm pretty sure, doing life in jail. I don't think he got the death penalty for that, but he is in jail for life for that homicide. I think they got him on 2nd degree. I don't think it was 1st degree homicide. It was they were out drinking, a very volatile relationship, similar to what we're hearing here. And they got into a big fight, and he pulled out, and phew, that was it. Everything, that split-second decision changed his life forever. These decisions change your life. So anyways, getting back to that, we have this oar that's broken that, causes us a little bit of heartburn, to say the absolute least, And of course, we've got a bunch of great articles that are coming out that were written, and I like this one here. I thought was a decent article. It was from CNN, and it says, Lynette Hooker moved through the world like someone who has found her rhythm. On the water, 55-year-old mother seems to come alive, her adventurous spirits radiating outward, lighting her from the inside out. She chases horizons by sailboat and slips beneath them in a snorkel, drifting eye level with manatees and tracing the slow glide of sea turtles. The ocean isn't just a backdrop. It's her element. It's her happy place, she called it before her disappearance. In a video after video sharing her travels on Instagram profile, the light catches her motion, the wind in her hair, the sun on her shoulders, laughter carried off before it fully lands, and almost always just within reach is her husband of 25 years, Brian Hooker, much like Brian Laundrie. Within reach. They weren't together for 25 years, but when they were on the road, they were within reach of each other. Together, they built a life at sea and documented the intimate, often joyful posts, sailing in the glassy waters, cooking meals using solar oven aboard their boat, Soulmate, weathering sudden storms with a sense of humor. He often sits across from her in their yacht, sunburnt and smiling, part of the rhythm she documented cheerfully. Online, their life reads like a love story set adrift, two people choosing each other against the endless horizons. Not going anywhere for a while, she writes in her most recent post, the caption sitting beneath an image of a boat anchored in calm, crystal clear water. Days after the post, Lynette Hooker would be reported missing in the Bahamas. Brian Hooker, described affectionately by his wife in her post as her husband, her hubby, was taken into custody by the Royal Bahamas Police Force on Wednesday in connection with her disappearance and remains in custody after an extension was granted until Monday evening. His lawyers confirmed to CNN the Coast Guard has opened a criminal investigation into Lynette's disappearance. Brian Hooker has not been formally charged, and his attorney says categorically and unequivocally denies any wrongdoing. Now, a week since she went missing, the life Lynette Hooker so vividly captured, full of motion, light, and breath, has left suspended in time, raising questions that linger on a social media profile gone silent. How does someone vanish from life and look so full? And what happened the night she went missing? Very good questions. If you guys would like to see or read the rest of that article, I will drop it in chat now. I thought it was a good article. I thought it was very, I like the wording. It kept your attention. It really did. And we heard about this CIA, FBI agent before. I can't remember her name, but she's kind of making her rounds. I've seen her before, but not as much as I'm starting to see her now.
A Michigan man denies any wrongdoing in his wife's disappearance.
That. There she is.
Ongoing investigation. News Nation national security contributor Tracy Walder with us now, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. I mean, in a case like this, he was the last to see her, so everything's on the table.
100%. Thank you for having me, Marnie. Everything is on the table, but the problem is it's really just his account right now for the time being. You're talking about open water, right, where there's no cameras. I'm not certain whether or not that there was cell service. That hasn't been confirmed yet. And so you're really just relying on his story right now.
How much does the couple's past, any domestic violence issues they've had come into play here in the investigation?
So it's hard. I don't think something like that is going to come into play if this goes to trial, right? I don't, because I don't think it has bearing on that current situation.
I told you guys yesterday. We were talking, this is something I understand because of the prejudice. And I told you guys when we were hearing this, we went over even some hearsay exemptions and rules of how to try to get this testimony from, say, the mom and the daughter into the hearing for this. And I told you it's going to be an uphill battle if they can get it in, and that mostly the jurors will never hear about his prior domestic violence abuse. And here's why: because it was never recorded. Now, could they put it in? Because there's a Pandora's box type of things. There's a thing that the defense can open and bring in stuff unintentionally. And so I believe that they will be able to bring it in strategically and legally if they bring up her arrest in 2015, right? I think that they might, under the evidentiary rules, if they bring up her arrest in 2015 for domestic violence, I think that they will be able to open up and explain some of that away with some of the information and testimony from the daughter and the mom. So, in my opinion, I don't think the defense even wants to bring up the past arrest of Lynette, because I think that will open that box up where they can now start looking into him for his, for the stuff related to his. So I don't know how that's going to work and if that's enough to open up that Pandora's box at trial. But again, we're far away from trial. We haven't even gotten an arrest yet. So this is way, way, way premature argumentation. But at the end of the day, it's still strategic. It's still strategy that, legal strategy, trial strategy that they have to be looking at, and that's, anyways, we brought it up. I just thought it was interesting that they're talking about it, and we brought it up yesterday, so we'll go back just a few seconds.
To trial, right? I don't, because I don't think it has bearing on that current situation. However, I think right now it comes into play when examining whether or not this was an accident. Are you going to investigate this as an accident, or are you going to investigate this as some type of homicide?
The other thing that stands out, Tracy, and it's been made known by the family, is that both of these people are experienced boaters with years of experience on the water. So the question remains, how could she fall out of the boat? How wasn't he able to get her back in? How do investigators take that element and incorporate it into their investigation?
That's going to be very important because, in my opinion, I think if anybody has been on the water for any significant, you've fallen in. I don't, it doesn't necessarily have to happen often, but I think in anybody's boating history, being on a boat, I think everybody has fallen in the water at least a time, or if they're avid boaters. I mean, if you only go out once in a while, you probably have never fallen off of a boat. But if you're an avid boater and you're out on the boat a lot, like you practically live on a boat, there's going to be times where things just happen and you fall into the water. Okay, I can tell you there's been a time where I had to pee. Okay, we didn't have a yacht. Okay, Betty I was a kid. Okay, I was a kid. Nobody's around. Betty had to hang her little moon off the bow of the boat and kind of squat and take care of business. Okay, well you get a wave or something. It's not fun. But there has been some incidences where my butt was hanging off the boat and then my body went right along with it. And I got into the water. It didn't happen very often, but I can at least account 1 or 2 times that I've fallen overboard when I wasn't expecting or intending to be in the water. So, oh, I have fallen off a boat before. Yeah, sometimes you just got to, there's nothing out. What are you going to do? Okay, when you gotta go, you gotta go. All right. The way I look at it is, if you're on a mountain and you can't survive, they tell you to drink the stuff. I'm not saying that, but obviously it's not as toxic as people like to make it out to be. So sometimes you just gotta hang the little butt off the bow of the boat and just go pee. Right. So we used to use a bucket with a bag in it. Oh well, you guys are much cleaner than we are. We were heathens. We just threw our asses off the ass into the boat and make sure you don't hit the boat. If you hit the boat, you're cleaning the boat. We have rules. We have rules. So I'm just saying we weren't, well, I think that would have been a lot easier with our rules, right? We never had a bucket. My daddy never brought us a bucket. He wasn't that humane. We were 70s, 80s, and 90s kids, okay? We kind of just dropped trow and just, let it all hang out. So, just letting you know. Oars for rowboats, dinghies, fixed seat rowing are designed to handle significant repeated stresses. They are. I've never broken an oar either, Ice Cream Man. Modern ones, Kyber, and I've got the modern ones. I've got those things are reinforced. Yeah, I've never had a broken oar. The wooden ones, I don't know if they're wood. I don't even know how those would break. I mean, you've got to put the only time I've ever seen an oar break is somebody running over it or doing something that broke it and put too much pressure on it. But I've never, a breakage typically requires external factors, hitting hard objects. Yeah. And that's why I'm thinking, if you're using that at trying to dig up some hard ground, it would snap it, that would probably be the only, that's why I mean, the more I keep studying this case, I don't believe, like, if they're not doing any land searches, they're not going to, my gut is telling me they're not going to find her. In calm recreational boating, I'm almost never happens from rowing alone. Yeah, because my first boat wasn't a motorboat. It was a canoe. So I know exactly what you're talking about, because you can't go anywhere with a canoe without paddles, So we got paddles, and that was it. But I can tell you that I've never personally had an oar. I don't know if I've ever seen an oar broken. I mean, I think I've seen an oar broken, but I don't think anybody in my family or anything has ever broken an oar. I've seen a broken oar before, but I don't know how it happened. I just don't remember. Maybe I don't know. But either way, you guys are getting the gist here. I mean, we've got the abuse factors here. The abuse factors are going to come in. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about whether this abuse is going to take center stage. It is taking center stage because of these statements. I truly believe he is in custody because his story doesn't make sense. I mean, you're on a strip. She's going toward the strip. Why are you going toward the opposite? None of it makes sense. And I'm sorry, being drunk doesn't justify these poor decisions. Okay, again, these are avid drinkers. Okay, their tolerance to alcohol is far superior than most of the people in my chat. Okay, they drink regularly. I can tell you, when I drink regularly, a case of beer would barely get me drunk. Okay? I haven't drank in years. I guarantee if I pulled out a beer right now and chugged it, I would feel the effects of one single beer today. But when I was drinking heavy, when I was 200 pounds, I could drink a case of beer, 24 beers, still walk, talk. We'll leave it at that. I don't want to acknowledge or admit to any criminal activity. Just saying.
So my guess is they're actually probably going to do some reenacting of this as well as with the currents at the time, because one of the key things that he does say is that, she was swept away incredibly quickly by currents. The dinghy that they're referring to is a very, very, very small boat. They were just taking this right to get to their sailboat, which was the larger of the two. It's very surprising that if one person went overboard in a dinghy, that a second person wouldn't as well. They're almost touching each other, if you will.
That's a very valid point that we're not talking about too. If the waters were so rough that one of them fell out, it would have been so rough that both of them would have fallen out. They were literally touching each other. Plead the fifth. Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a great time to shut the old pie hole, Betty. What's the motive other than he snapped? I think what we're looking at here, in all fairness, is I think this was a commonplace. I think he just went too far this time. I don't think it was he snapped, because it sounds like he snaps a lot. It sounds like he's a very volatile individual. Something could set him off. You never know on what day what specifically will set him off, but if something sets him off and she's drunk and she tells him to go F you, he's probably on top of her, and it's just one of those things. I don't think that it was, he snapped. I don't think he's snapping. He's just a violent individual when he's drunk. And I just think things went too far this time. He's taken them pretty far before, so much so that she ran away and left and went to her mother and got, started feeling better, and then chose to go back to him. And now she's never going to be able to leave again, because it sounds like he finally did what he said he was going to do just 3 months ago. He wished he would have finished the job and just thrown her overboard. How eerie those statements are ringing right now in everybody's ears. It's a very nauseating statement at this juncture to know he made, especially in light of this woman not being around. That has to be taken very, very, very seriously, because what do we have here? We have a woman that went overboard. He was threatening that he wished she would have killed her and thrown her overboard. And now, 3 months after making those statements, 4 months after making those statements, what do we have here? We have a missing woman that appears to have gone overboard. I believe this is a first-degree homicide. He brought her back to kill her. I don't know. I believe there's planning here. There might be planning here. I don't want to say there is. I want to say there might be. I want to say that there might be. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So, missing woman in the Bahamas was previously arrested. We learned that Lynette, this is the dinghy. Look at them. They're touching each other. How the hell can she go overboard, but he's not going overboard? They're sitting on the side. If there was something that was so rough, because think about it, he would have been the one that went overboard. Oh, I think this proves that she was not in control of the motor. I think this might prove she was not in control of the motor, because look at where her hand is. It just dawned on me, because I was just about to say they're both sitting on the edge of the boat. How could they not? And I was going to say, that maybe holding on to the engine or holding on to the motor might have helped keep a person in place that's on choppy water, because they have something to hold them down with. So if she did go off the boat, if his story is true, which I question his story in its entirety, but if his statements is true and they were just drunk coming back and they hit a rough water, and he's holding on to the engine, so he just popped up and popped down, but she's drunk and doesn't have anything to hold on to because he's the one guiding has the engine, then she might have went over. But that would have proved that he was driving, not her. If he didn't go over, if she was driving, he should have been the one in the water, not her, because she's got something to hold on to. Where if you look at him here, it doesn't look like anybody has anything to hold on to except the person driving and navigating the boat. Just my opinion. And whose hand is on this boat? Let's see. So she has, her hands are right here and right here, but this is toward her, and his hands are right here and right here. So we still don't even know whose hands. There's no scenery here that tells us that they're, oops, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Like, oops, I didn't mean to do it. So looking at the dinghy, so let's go ahead and read this one here. This is a woman missing. She was arrested for domestic violence. So if you guys did not know, yes, she was arrested for domestic violence in 2015. But we have to remember Gabby Petito, according to Moab, they would have arrested her as well. They were looking at her for being the instigator because Brian Laundrie was so manipulative. And it sounds like Brian Hooker was also very manipulative and allowed his wife to go to jail. She walked out of jail with a black eye, but when she went in, there was no signs of that he had hit her. But by the time she walked out, there was absolute signs that she was abused by him. And they so much so that they had to drop the charges. They couldn't tell who the instigator was. So they had no choice to drop the charges. So she wasn't ultimately charged with that. But she was arrested. So you can be arrested for anything. Anybody can put anything in an affidavit for arrest. An affidavit is probable cause. That means somebody only has to say something to create probable cause to have somebody arrested. So when people say, oh, there was probable cause to have arrest in domestic, well, yeah, all you have to do is say somebody hit you. You don't even have to prove it at that juncture. You only have to say it. So people can really abuse the process and abuse the system.
This half hour with the disappearance of an American woman in the Bahamas. Lynette Hooker was reported missing 1 week ago by her husband, Brian. He told authorities in the Bahamas she fell overboard their small boat and was carried away by the currents. Brian Hooker is under arrest, but denies any wrongdoing. Christian.
And we do have him under arrest. Let me see. Do we have anything else? Didn't line up. Friend rips husband's story. Here, this is good. This is the one. Okay, yeah, this is the one I want you guys to see.
And Daniel, thank you for taking time. Let's walk through your communications with Brian and your sort of sense of what do you think occurred here? What transpired?
It's so shocking to not only just me, but to the entire boating community that something like this would happen. That as the event started to unfold, we didn't really wasn't sure what was going on. It was Easter, and my wife had made a post about sailing, and Brian had liked it. And then Monday morning, when the text come out that said that they were looking for Lynette, she had fell off the boat, I grabbed my phone and I went on Facebook and I went to my notifications where he had liked the most recent photo, and I said, "Hey, did I just see you on the news?" And then he gave me the account that's in the text messages. And it didn't line up a lot. Like when he first told me, I thought it wasn't that serious. Like, she had fell overboard. He was another place. They were going to be back together that afternoon or something. And that there wasn't a lot of serious or dramatic to the text.
So everybody is identifying how incredibly calm, cool, and collected Brian was. And a lot of people, because they don't know how they're supposed to be acting, because they've never done this before, they've never experienced this before. So the problem is that we here in true crime see people's immediate reactions in a lot of these cases. So we identify what normal people do in a situation like this, and some people don't. They don't know. They think that if they go too dramatic, that'll be fake. So they try to say, keep it calm, cool, and collected. And the calm, cool, and collected approach is off because it's a serious situation that you should be very, very concerned, and you're not coming across very concerned. You're coming very lackadaisy. And this is a serious matter, especially after hearing that this area could be potentially be full of bull sharks. Anybody that frequents this area knows how dangerous this area is with bull sharks. If that's true, should know that this is that's concerning. That should be, he should be freaking out. Like, we need to find my wife. There's sharks out there. Like, you would think that there would be a little more urgency coming from this guy. And the problem is like with this, everybody keeps describing his very calm, monotone behavior. It just doesn't bode with how urgent the situation truly is.
We actually continued our conversation about sailboats and a few other things. That when it come out that he was arrested, I was completely shocked. Like, they've had problems in the past, separated before, but we didn't really get involved, as my wife's close friends with Lynette and I'm close with Brian. So it's like we have a male and a female side of the relationship. So every time somebody has a fight, we try to stay out of it, so when they get back together, it don't make things awkward.
Yeah, I totally understand that, Danielle. But let's talk about you're privy to the marriage itself, and some of what set all of this really in motion with questions was his stepdaughter, Carly Aylesworth, did an interview with me and told me that there was this history of domestic violence in the relationship. Now, Brian's attorney, Terrell Butler, came on Fox and Friends yesterday and had this to say about those allegations of prior violence. Listen.
He has categorically denied that. He has denied the allegations. And there was mention of an incident that occurred in 2015. And during that, and his wife was the one who was arrested. And he does not want to dwell on negativity. He has been reluctant to respond to the claims made by his stepdaughters, but he did mention that she has a medical history that needs to be looked in. She's on certain medication. She can be easily influenced, and that may be affecting what she's saying.
This is just classic abusive person turning a victim into, victim shaming. Oh, she's got psychological drugs. Well, maybe the psychological drugs are dealing with you and her mother fighting for fucking 25 years. I mean, it could be that. Excuse my language on a Sunday. I apologize about that, guys. I didn't mean for it to pop out. I got the beep button, but it really upsets me. He's reluctant to respond to these allegations, but are saying that his daughter's on, implying she's mentally messed up in the freaking head. What a piece of shit.
What do you say about, she's saying one thing, he's saying it's not true. Did you see any indication that there could be domestic violence in this?
I have no knowledge of any kind of domestic violence. All I know is about their experience sailing and then in part of the boating world. And they were very, very experienced boaters. They were, very outgoing, forward. They reached out to us.
Very experienced boaters, okay? Very experienced boaters. Her mother saying that she is a great athlete and swimmer. Athlete. Like my mom would say that I'm a great swimmer. If something came up like this, but I'm not an athlete, okay? I've never been an athlete, okay? So that specific word tells me something. It tells me that she's fit, that she has endurance, stamina, tenacity. There's a lot of things that you can derive from that word athlete. And so I thought it was very interesting because if my mom was describing, if the situation was the same, my mom would be up there talking about how great of a swimmer I am. But I don't know if she would use the word athlete. And her mother used the word, she is a great athlete and swimmer. Excellent athlete and swimmer. My daughter was an excellent athlete and swimmer, she said. He's a Marine, he scuba dives. There's no reason for them not to know what they were doing on the water. None. Zero. Zilch. No reason for them not to know what was going on. But the messages themselves do not prove anything. You know, the messaging from the daughter, the mom, do not prove anything. But they are the exactly kind of details that gets dissected by our communities. You know, we go through these. When we hear domestic violence, it's a red flag for many of us, because a lot of our cases start with that very domestic violence before they ultimately disappear. The earlier domestic violence reporting is significant because past incidences do not prove what happened here. And that's what I was trying to explain. Like, you know, there is a possibility that everything he said is true. But again, where is she? You know, and why was he going in the opposite direction of his wife? But they can change how the public interprets the story. The media coverage has been emphasizing that the couple presented themselves online as adventurous sailors, which contrasts sharply with the grim tone of the investigation now underway. And that contrast gives an episode of emotional rage. One side of the polished social media image, one side is polished social media image, and then the other one is this hard reality, you know, domestic violence, missing person, criminal investigation, scrutiny from the public. You know, so it's really hard because the angle of this is about domestic violence, about isolation. Because being on the water, being on the boat is the ultimate isolation. And for all of us, when you have a healthy relationship, it's fine. And this looked like a healthy relationship. Up until this point, you know, the public would have been no wiser. You know, we would have no knowledge that this family, you know, when those lights turned off, was in such peril. But now we do. At this point, investigators are likely comparing the husband's account with physical evidence and vessel conditions, weather, timing, and digital and witness records. That's what they're looking at. And we're hearing that they have a device or a sensor on board that's telling somebody that he was in that boat when he's saying he's paddling in the middle of the night across that channel. So they may be looking at whether the alleged overboard event is consistent with the size of the boat, the sea conditions, the ability of one person to lose another one that quickly. Like, outside of hurricane force winds, I don't see how this is a plausible scenario. And 20 miles an hour is not hurricane force winds. I mean, yeah, it's choppy. Yeah, it's windy. Yeah, it's not great conditions. Yeah, you shouldn't be on a dinghy in 20 mile an hour wind, but it's not the perfect storm. And what he's describing is this perfect storm. So if a murder charge is ultimately filed, the case is likely turned on whether prosecutors can establish more than suspicion, specifically whether they can connect Brian Hooker to that deliberate act. And that's going to be questionable because, like I said, I think that they've got him dead to rights on operating a motor vehicle or operating a boat under the influence of alcohol, where somebody went overboard and is most likely deceased. I think they've got him on that, you know, great bodily injury type of charge with what they've got right now. Now, based on the evidence of and the condition of their actual boat, the Soulmate, and where they can prove he was at when, might change that. But, you know, everybody that I've ever known that comes back and disappears so quickly after returning home to their significant other, it seems like it was planned. Every case that I've covered, they intentionally got the person to come back to them specifically so they can execute them. They can get them in their clutches. So I'm hoping that we're not going to have a planning, you know, something searched months ago, 3 months ago about how, you know, to do this or how to get rid of that or where to hide this. You know, we don't even know what what his search history, the digital forensics, are going to produce. So we have a lot of different things that we could talk about when it comes to this case, a magnitude of different topics when it comes to this case. But right now, it's whether or not, one, was this premeditated? Was this an accident? Or again, like somebody says, snapped, which I don't believe he snapped. I just think he went too far. Because this seems like, from everything that we're learning about this case, this seems like a common occurrence, even though they're friends, because what I'm hearing is they were a lively couple at the bars and out with friends. It wasn't until they got alone together in that boat by themselves that things started turning ugly. It's when they get back that's when it happens. So I don't anticipate any of these people that they're hanging out with really knowing anything unless they happen to see bruises on her or see a black eye or something like that. And even then, they're on a boat. They're on a boat. People smack into something, you get a wave, your boat rocks. I mean, things fall on you when you're out there on the water. So even those bruises that they may see on her body, they might not even equate to domestic violence. They may be deep bruises too. Purple, black and blue, purple bruises. And people are not going to automatically equate to her being hurt by her husband, especially if they're on a boat life type of situation, because I can tell you personally, you can get yourself hurt in some of those cabs. You're in close quarters, in the high seas. There are things that you can just fall on you. You could just be there in calm seas and just wave can go through it, just all by itself and rock your boat. And you could be sitting there and all of a sudden a coffee cup smacks you upside the head. So there are some, I don't think that even if they saw bruises on her body out and about, that anybody would just automatically think that her husband's beating on her, folks. I'm sorry. I don't see that being the case. 854 by the Lake, they have Instagram and been YouTube for years. They have a small following. This group here, I mean, the Sailing Hookers has a small following, like 1,000 people that watch their adventures. So they're making, if they're posting regularly, they're probably making an extra couple $100 a month, on the side, just from all these platforms posting, if they're monetized. Some of these people they just post their content. They're not monetized. They don't know to get monetized. They don't know anything about that aspect of it. They just don't know. So I don't know if that's their case, but I know they were on a lot of different platforms, and it sounds like, I think their YouTube might have the most following, but I don't know. I haven't checked. I haven't found them on their other platforms. Their other platforms. So that's kind of really our show for today. Have we been able to help clarify whether this is overboard or homicide? Of course not. We weren't there. This is one of those tricky situations where we know, like in our pit of our, at least for me, I don't want to speak for everybody in my chat, but for me, in the pit of my stomach, I know she was murdered. I know that they were drinking all day. This was a recipe for disaster. He's already telling his mother-in-law that everything went wrong. You cannot tell me this man was drunk and everything was going wrong and he wasn't a freaking bear. He was absolutely a bear. If his personality is that he's, violent and nasty when he's drunk and he's having a bad day and drunk, you bet your behind that she was a victim of something that day, because we know that abusers are abusers. And we heard the elements, the story he gave. They were drinking all day. They had been on land all day, and everything that could go wrong that day went wrong. Those are the statements that Brian told his mother-in-law. He didn't have a radio, and an oar broke, among other things. He says he didn't see where she was. It was an unsinkable dinghy. Her daughter was an excellent swimmer and athlete. He's a Marine. He's a scuba diver. There is no reason for either of them, if they went overboard, to drown. It doesn't make sense. These are highly skilled individuals. You do not have athletes and Marines drowning in feet of water. It just doesn't work like that, folks. The only way that she would have went into that water and not come out is if she was unconscious. As if she is unconscious. This guy's a genius. I don't think so. But I don't know. This guy has a PhD. What? He's got a PhD? Then he's over analytical. I gotta tell you, the smarter you are does not equate to like street smarts and book smarts are two totally different. You can be the smartest book smart person and be the biggest dumbass. Okay? There are certain things that I just it's annoying for me because some people in the professions, like psychologists, when you look at psychologists or psychiatrists, look at their children. 90% of psychologists and their children are mentally effed up. If your practice doesn't even give you a well-bodied child, why the hell am I bringing my child to you? Have you guys ever looked at half of the psychologists and psychiatrists? If you're sending your child or you're going to a psychologist and psychiatrist, you might want to look at their family. I'm just saying. Because you'll find more times than not that these people that are fucking with your head have already destroyed their entire family. Some of them are good, but some of them are really, really, they can't, like their children are so messed up. If you've got a psychologist or a psychiatrist with messed up children and you're going to them for advice, who's the real idiot in that room? Just saying. U.S. Marine soldier, biochemical engineer with a PhD, not defending the guy, but he isn't stupid. But you know what? The problem with all that smartness is that you don't use it when you're drunk. That's the problem. He could be the smartest man in the room when he's sober, but when he's drunk, he's obviously made stupid decisions. And he might be smart, but he's not smart enough to keep his hands to himself. There is that, you know. This is a sad case of domestic violence, I truly believe. I don't believe this is a boating accident. I don't believe that there's too much here. There's too much here. And the fact that this all started escalating ever since 2023, and she just went back to him. She was just staying with her mother 3 months ago when he almost broke her neck. She just went back to him, and now she's gone and gone forever. I heard he sold the house and bought the yacht. I could be wrong. No, they did. That's what I heard, Ice Cream Man. They sold everything. But my aunt and uncle did the same thing, except their keepsakes and certain, stuff that they put in storage. When my aunt and uncle got their yacht, their sailboat yacht, the exact same thing. I talked about it on this show for a long time before this case came up. They were all over the world in their sailboat. My uncle was a Navy man, 30 years Navy, and or 20 or 30 years Navy, somewhere in between those. And they traveled too, and they were on the seas for 3 years. My aunt, she loved it. She loved, going to see places. But I think that she talked about, I think it is something about the close quarters, though. It does something to them. She did. I believe that they did have some disagreements, and some of their disagreements, I mean, obviously not violent disagreements, but some of their disagreement were more heated than they're accustomed to. And I think she attributed that to the close quarters. After about 3 years, my aunt was ready for her house back. She made my uncle. Made her husband. I was getting my uncle and her husband all in one little thing, but she made her husband, my uncle, sell the sailboat and buy her a house. Those sailboats are no joke. They're very, very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. Very few people can afford a house and a yacht. Okay. But the people that want to live, and I find that a lot of people that want to do the high seas lifestyle, a lot of them do come from military because they're used to close quarters. They're used to, I don't know. It just seems like this is the second one that I see, and even the other people that I see out there on the water appear to have, some type of military. Not all of them, but most of them that I've met so far have had some type of military experience, which I finds pretty interesting. So, anyways, guys, that's all we have for this morning. If you haven't noticed, we already got another show lined up today at 2 p.m., and that is to go over Nancy Guthrie case. Let me see where we are at with that. Developing angle. Oh, I closed out my wrong channel. Hold on here. Let me put that up. This is it. Okay. So let me go back. Sorry, guys. I'm awful at this stuff some days. Oh, good gracious. Oh, good gracious. If you guys have made it this far into the show, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button or the hype button. We've been asking all of the replay crew to please consider hyping me. Please consider hitting that thumbs up button and make a comment. What do you think about this show? What are your thoughts about this? Do you think this is an accident, or do you think this is homicide? I know we don't have the answers, but it feels like we should. It feels like we should. Let me go to, am I supposed to go to, let me go to my channel. We've already got Nancy Guthrie, our show set up. Here, let me put the link. Finally got to it. Woohoo! I finally got to the link. Here's the link. We'll be doing this at 2 p.m. today. And around 6 o'clock tonight, we're going to be going over an update for Sebastian Rogers. So we have 3 shows today, all different topics. Hopefully you guys come back. We have Nancy Guthrie coming up at 2, and then we have Sebastian Rogers coming up at 6. I haven't done the Sebastian Rogers link yet. So if you guys would like to come back to go over those cases, come on back. Come on back. We are diving into all of these cases because I feel like some of the cases are connected by certain details. So, for example, this right here really doesn't connect too much with Nancy Guthrie, but it could connect a little bit with Sebastian Rogers. For example, the domestic violence aspect of this case. She's on the high waters. The 15-year-old boy was at home with only his mother before he disappeared. But domestic violence is in both of these stories. You know, there is the corruption, the sheriff corruption from Pima County, where Nancy Guthrie's case is, and the Sebastian Rogers case. So those cases are connected on those elements of the case. So we have all of these cases, while differently, kind of cross over one another with some details of their case. So we're going to be breaking those down. And can one case help us with the other case is another angle that we must and should be looking at when covering these cases. So if you'd like to come back after church and hang out with us for the Nancy Guthrie case, please go over to my channel and get notified. Hit that notification so when we go live, you don't miss it. And if your bell is not fully colored in, that means you have it on a prioritized setting. So if you want to make sure you never miss a Bullhorn Betty show again, take that bell that's on my channel. When you go to my channel, you see that bell, and turn that notification to all, ALL. It usually is on personalized or some other type of setting. And once you turn it to all, you start getting all notifications for every time I go live. And that's where most of you guys would like to be. We're also remembering, please do not forget all the prayers that we need for all of our Coffee Club members here and subscribers that are struggling through a few things. We have a few people that are healing from surgeries. We have a few people that are still dealing with, life and loss in their families and struggles that they're having due to those losses in one way or another, fighting with in-laws, trying to get things done. Those things, we still need to lift put our hands on those people as well. And then, of course, the ones that are actively struggling with loss of life in their family, such as the E family, we could really use a lot of monetary prayers and other types of support for them as well. So I hope everybody is doing well, and hopefully you guys are uplifted. Today's a great day to pray and to move mountains. So please consider that, and please considering for those that are struggling today while you're sitting in those pews. Anyways, have a great day. We'll see you at 2 p.m. and then we'll see you at 6 p.m. this afternoon with the rest of our shows. So hopefully all of you guys will be there or be square. But don't forget, even if you can't catch it live, we always have the replay crew. So be part of the change here, the sweeping change here on social media, and hit our thumbs up so we can keep this good information rolling out and drowned out those clicks and views people, the people that are spreading around misinformation. We need more true crime content creators that want to keep it factual on these platforms for integrity. You know, social media gets such a bad name for the bad actors on these platforms, but there's a lot of good actors on this platform, and we want to be part of that. So support the change here in social media. Support good content creators, not just me, but there's a lot of other people. Smiley Stories World, Justin for All. We have, Ashley Banfield, Brian Enton. They're all starting to come over to social media. They're becoming one of us. So it's nice to welcome them. They bring a lot of big platforms, and they bring a lot of resources that we can capitalize on the social media and in the social media genre. So, true crime genre. So we're really pleased to have those types of resources come aboard. I'm not anti, mainstream media as much as I'm anti-lying to us. Okay? I love mainstream media that supports truth, not tries to manipulate us, not tries to run a narrative. We want the truth. And so there are some content creators and some mainstream media that believes in the same thing we do, such as Nancy Grace, such as Vinnie Politan, Brian Enton. These are mainstream media. These are the best of mainstream media in our field. These are the people that are fighting right next to us every single day. They're people that want answers and want the truth and fight for the truth. And so we support mainstream media that does great. We just condemn the ones that don't. So, and that's what has bred many of us out here on these platforms, because we're just sick and tired of it. And then Ice Cream Man says, Turtle Boy, 9 p.m. tonight. 9 p.m. tonight. Okay, well, as long as it doesn't cut into my time. I'm just joking. So we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be over by then. We got 6. So if you guys want to see Turtle Boy at 9, by all means, go see Turtle Boy. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. I really do apologize for the swear words on a Sunday. I'm trying to get better with it. So please forgive me as I keep working on my glaring imperfections. I cuss a lot. I am a sailor. I'm working on it. I'm a lot better today than I was 3 years ago. And you can ask Sonia. She has whipped me into shape. She's still got a lot of work to do, but we're getting there. It's progress. That's yes, ma'am. Okay, she's saying choppy, mommy. Got to get up. Come on, let's keep going. She hasn't had her socialization time yet because we came live way too early this morning. So she's saying it's time to socialize. She's ready. Come on. Let's start with saying hi to the coffee club. There we go. Say hi, coffee club. I love my mommy. I just want her to take me out so I can socialize. It's a neighbor doggy. I want to go socialize with a neighbor doggy. I'm sick of looking at my mommy. And I'm sick of hearing her talk to nobody. And I keep thinking she's talking to me, but I realize she's not. Oh, the baby. Oh, the baby. Okay, come on. There you go. Alrighty, guys, you have a great day. She even stopped by to say hi to you guys. Isn't that sweet? Not every day does she say hi to you, but occasionally you'll hear her in the background where she just has to say hi to you guys. So there you guys go. We will talk to you soon. Be here, be square at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. For Nancy Guthrie, 6 p.m. for Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is getting a 6 p.m. time slot because he's important. He needs to be brought up. We haven't talked about him in a while. We've got a lot to say. We've got some new information. We got some new talking points. So let's get it. And we got a lot to say about who? Sheriff Snuggle Struggles, we need to be out there. We need to start doing more protests, corrupted protests out there, not for just Sebastian, because this a-hole is trying to be reelected again, and it's time for us to put our Bullhorn Betty boot up frickin' Eric Craddock's butt, okay? He needs to be blowing BHB bubbles. But we've got something coming, guys. We got something coming. I'm going to get his ass. Okay, I'm getting his ass. He's not going to be sheriff. If he's sheriff, we're giving up on Sumner County. And I'm not ready to give up on Sumner County just yet. But it is time for us to start getting in there and start rocking and rolling. He cannot be sheriff. If Sebastian Rogers is going to get justice, Eric Craddock has to go. Eric Craddock has to go. And we out here have no control over who they elect there. So we have got to get into that community, and we have got to start making a difference. I need all of my Sumner County people to start standing up, and even if I'm not there, getting on those corners in front of that sheriff's department and say, fire Eric Craddock, fire Eric Craddock, fire Eric Craddock. We get enough people out there going out weekend after weekend. It will resonate. I promise you, it will resonate. People are going to realize, and if we come in here with a 1-2 punch, I'm ready to take him out politically, okay? I'm ready to take him out politically, and I need help. I need help. I need the community's help out there. If we want change, it's not about a pissing contest here. It's about doing what's right for a 15-year-old boy that has been failed by that entire community far too long. And we need the community to stop putting their head in the sand and start thinking of this boy that needs to be brought home in whatever condition he's in. So we're going to be fighting for Sebastian Rogers, but we've got to start getting political. We've got to start strategizing, and we've got to knock Eric Craddock off of his throne. He's got to go. We will never get justice for Sebastian with him at the helm. He's got to go. He's got to go. And I need the community's help out there. And we may have to go in there, folks, and we may have to come in from out of state to start doing what we need to do to clean up that area. If people are too dumb to realize what they're doing here, we need to educate them. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but, I speak the way I speak. If it's offensive, it's offensive. Oh, well, not my problem, right? But at the end of the day, people need to understand that this good old boys club system does not work in small towns anymore. It's corruption. This is a corrupted county, and people know it's corrupted. They know it. We just need to show them a pathway forward so that they are not condemned. They're scared of being the minority in their community. They're scared of the retaliation. We need to show them a better path forward. We need to get a lot of people on board so we can ignite this path forward. You cannot correct a cruise ship overnight. You can only turn it a little bit. We're turning a ship completely around, okay? And it doesn't happen on a drop of the dime. It takes a lot of people just working and working and working and working. And sometimes we don't get it the first election. Sometimes it has to spill over to the second election. But I really believe with the momentum we've got and the fact that he is just a horrible sheriff. I mean, we've got a lot to work with here on Sheriff Snuggle Struggles. Think about it. He's been arresting people that are for DUIs that are sober. Okay? That's incompetence, that's training, that's horrendous. Okay? He's arrested me. There's going to be all types of things that are going to go on about that to try to intimidate me. Boy, please. How did that work for you? SOB? How did that work for you? I just got a lot of questions about that. So we've got a lot of problems, and we've got the whole, that one group out there that does a lot of activism as well. They came to Harlan, whatever her name is. Golly, I can't believe I'm running a blank on her name. But she came out there, Brooke Harlan. Brooke Harlan. And she's got a really good group of folks that are out there that are activating and activists and go out there and fight corruption as well. So we've got a lot of different areas in this community that are screaming corruption that have no affiliation to one another. And now we have a common goal. You know, we can unite on the corruption in Sumner County. And that's pretty freaking bad. That you have so much corruption that we literally have two groups that are completely unaffiliated with each other being able to come together on one topic, corruption. So we really need to start working hard and pushing back on Eric Craddock. And we're going to be talking about all of that tonight at 6 p.m. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm going to try to schedule this and set this up where we can come up online. Where once upon a time we used to have panel guests. We used to let people come up on panel and talk. And then we went to the phones. And now I'd like to bring it back to the panels, bringing you guys up. You guys have the option of turning your cameras off. So it's not like if you're shy with the cameras, you don't have the option to turn your cameras off. But I'd like to get back to that because I feel like we had a lot more people involved. We had a lot more discussions. We had a lot more talking points, and we had multiple people on channel that could talk back and forth about a specific topic. So at the end of the day, that's where we're at, guys. We're at the end of the show. It's almost 9 o'clock. Many of you guys got to get off to church. Some of you guys have later churches. Like your church doesn't start until like 10:30, 11. So we're doing our next live around 2. I figured everybody should be wrapped up with family, church, supper, whatever the case may be by 2. So we'll be doing a live. If you guys would like to come over here for the live, it'll be for Nancy Guthrie. Otherwise, we'll see you all around 6 p.m. For our talking points for Sebastian Rogers. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Have a great day.